Hey everyone, Nick here from Turtleback Freight. So I've got a brand new Authority, and it's only 2 months old, and I wanted to share how I'm staying completely busy with my Hotshot car hauling rig, despite having only a 2-month-old Authority. Now, before I started Hotshot car hauling, I spent a lot of time on Reddit forums and the like, doing research. And it seemed like it was very difficult to get into freight hauling with just a flatbed because none of the brokers were going to want to work with you right off the bat. And I suppose if you have direct customers, then that would be a little different. But I don't think a lot of hotshot dudes or dudettes have direct customers, right? So what I did see is just one or two posts that from some folks that were talking about how it's much easier to get carloads with a brand new Authority. And I'm going to tell you, I have found that to be 100% the truth, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and it's fairly easy. But first, I kind of wanted to just talk about why car hauling over freight. Because you can probably make a little bit more money with freight. I'm not denying that. I really don't know. I haven't done freight, so I'm not sure. What I can tell you, though, is that the lane that I'm building right now between San Antonio, Texas, and Houston, Texas, you can do about $200 to $300 a car. And if you're lucky enough to have some direct customers who are buying from the auctions in the city that you are hauling from, then you can probably do up to about $1,200 a day, which is really not a bad thing. But it's very difficult to achieve that because a lot of things go wrong. And if you're not picking up 3 cars at like a Manheim auction and dropping it off to one dealership, and you're doing 3 separate pickups and 3 separate drop-offs, it's basically impossible to do 3 separate pickups, drive to the next city, do 3 separate drop-offs, then do 3 separate pickups, drive back, and then do 3 separate drop-offs. It's just, there's not enough time in the day. You're going to run out of hours. To be honest with you, even if there were no hours of service, you probably couldn't stuff all that into a day if you're just a normal human and you need to sleep. But let's talk about why car hauling. In North America, about 40 million cars are transported per year. And that's about 110,000 cars a day. And that's a massive amount, right? So there's a lot of cars moving around. As I just described before, it's easy to carve out small lanes that can be lucrative, right? You can certainly plan on having a 3 or 4 or 5 car hauler behind your truck and decide that you're going to travel all over the country. However, it will be, I think, pretty difficult to take 5 cars that are going from one city, like, let's say, Boston, Massachusetts, and drop off all 5 cars at another more distant location like Denver, Colorado. You're going to have to pick and choose and pick up and drop off along the way. Whereas with smaller routes, you are probably going to be able to start finding some direct customers who, like a used car lot, who is buying, they're buying anywhere from 2 to 10 plus cars per week from the auction. And maybe that auction is in the next city, 200, 300 miles away. So it's easier to carve out small lanes. You have consistent loading and unloading. I don't have to wait for anybody to unload my truck. I'm going to unstrap the car, I'm going to get in the car, and I'm going to back it off the truck and deliver it. And the same thing with loading. Yes, sometimes you do have to wait a minute for somebody to locate the car or to bring it to you. For the most part, once that's done, you are loading the car onto your truck. So I'm not waiting for a forklift driver. I'm not doing any of that. So there's a consistency there. You can also move your cargo around yourself, which is pretty great. If you're a flatbed and somebody forked the load on to your truck bed, then you kind of you're not going to have a forklift to move it around later. But I can move all the cars off and back on. It's a little bit of a time suck, but you can move around your cargo for weight balance, and I think that's a major plus. There are also little to no dead zones. I know there are some classic dead zones that you have in freight, such as Florida, northern Midwest, that sort of thing. But really, with car hauling, there seems to be always a pretty good amount of cars coming to or from wherever you want to go. So there are no major dead zones, and I think that is a major, major plus as well. So let's talk about how you get loads as a hotshot car hauler with a brand new authority. Most big brokers are likely not going to work with you, just like with freight. However, there are a lot of smaller brokers that I have found who will work with me. But here's the real deal, especially on Central Dispatch. I haven't found it so much on Super Dispatch, and there are a couple of other load boards that I've used and I do use. On Central Dispatch, you will find that there are a handful of dealers, car dealers, that don't use brokers. They use Central Dispatch directly, and those dealers will almost always work with you. In fact, I have found that they're quick to respond and they're quick to dispatch the car to you. And most of the time, they don't even want your insurance information. They don't want a COI. They don't want anything. They'll just assign you the car and you go. And then often with the dealers, which is really cool too, once you arrive, they have a check or cash for you. So the payment is pretty fast. Whereas with brokers that I've worked with, some of them are quick. Some of them I have to hound a little bit. Everybody has paid me. It's not a big deal. You know, you do tend to get paid quicker when you're working directly with the dealers. So let's pop on a Central Dispatch, and I'll show you how you can use Central Dispatch to very quickly figure out if you have a broker or a dealer you're dealing with. You still want to call up the brokers, but the bigger brokers are going to tell you they want 3 months. They're going to tell you they want 6 months. Some of them want 2 years in service. Some of them want, like 50 reviews on Central Dispatch, but some of them will work with you. So let's pop over to Central Dispatch and take a look at how you can go through the list and figure out what you're looking for. All right, let's take a look at Central Dispatch. Now I have here Chicago to Detroit. For those of you who have not been into Central Dispatch yet, this is what you see when you do a search. I have Chicago to Detroit, put in the search. I am searching along the route, so it's going to find vehicles between, not only directly from Chicago to Detroit, but also on routes in between Chicago and Detroit. So let's take a look here. I'm sorted by price. Okay, the Peterbilt, we're going to skip that. Trailer, we're skipping that. Sterling truck, we're skipping that. Let's take a look here. 3 mixed vehicles. So this is good. This is likely 1 pickup and 1 drop off. Let's view the route. Okay, so not exactly Chicago to Detroit, but we did have search along route enabled. Now, Auto Freight Carriers LLC, just by the company name, that's going to be a broker. We click on it. Yeah, sure enough, it's a broker. This doesn't mean that they're not going to work with you, but they do have 1,317 ratings, which means they're probably a fairly good size broker. They're probably going to have an issue working with you right away. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't call them. What you want to do is have a spreadsheet or some sort of log of the brokers that you call so that you can see who is willing to work with you when. I might give this company a call and they may say, we don't work with companies who are 3 months or less. And then I can mark that down and I know. And when I'm going down the list, I see Auto Freight Carriers LLC. They're a broker. I know that they're not going to work with me until I'm 3 months old. So let's go back. Let's keep going down the list here. We have a Renegade UTV. We've got a Ford F-250 from Energy Transportation. That's probably going to be a broker just by the name. Yep, they're a broker. Auto Ship, that's a broker. Boom. Dream Auto Sales, Inc. Click on that. That is definitely a dealer. Yep, you can tell by the name that they're a dealer. So you have a pretty high chance that a dealer is going to work with you directly. Now you're going to want to make sure you take a look at the ratings and make sure that they pay and that they're that they're a good company to work with. But this company, being a dealer, they're probably going to work with you directly. Now, there's no way to filter out dealers and brokers here on Central Dispatch, so you kind of have to get on the list. Acertus, big broker, they are not going to work with you right off the bat. I know I've called them. I don't exactly remember. They may be 3 months. Run Buggy. This is interesting. This is a broker, but they will work with you if you have a new authority. You do have to go through some rigmarole with them. They do a background check. You have to use their app, but their app's actually pretty good. The only thing you have to watch out for with Run Buggy is they do a lot of repos and a lot of lease returns. You have to, if you're doing a lease return pickup, you have to call the dealership, because I have found plenty of times with Run Buggy that the car is either already picked up, or whoever was leasing the car that they put up as a return, sometimes they end up just buying out the lease. The car's not available anymore. It doesn't come off of Run Buggy, and then you show up to pick up a car that doesn't exist. So be careful with Run Buggy. The other thing about Run Buggy is that they have a lot of repos. So you're picking up a car at a repo lot. You're not going to repossess the car. The car's already been repossessed. It's in a lot. You're going to take it from the lot, likely to an auction. But a lot of repo lots require you to set an appointment. Some of them just require 24 hours notice with 1 hour notice, meaning you tell them you're going to show up tomorrow, and then about an hour before you get there, you call them and say, hey, I'll be there in about an hour. And that's great. But there are some that require you to set an exact time, like 9:30 in the morning or 2:30 in the afternoon. And the later the day goes, the less likely you are going to be able to get there on time. And then those same lots tend to charge between $20 and $50 if you're late. And to me, this is a total scam, because you're going to show up late. There's no way that you are going to know what's going to happen on the way. Cars that take a moment to pick up for whatever reason, traffic along the way, there's several factors that will always and consistently make you late. And so I think that it's dangerous to set an appointment at a place that's going to charge you money if you're late. Unless it's your first pickup of the day. All right, so taking a look here. All state-to-state auto transport. That's going to be a broker. Acertus, a broker. Roadrunner Auto Transport. That's going to be another broker. You can tell just by the names sometimes. Western Auto Sales. Here we go. This one is south of Chicago, south of Detroit. Western Auto Sales for sure is a dealer. Yep. So you're going to call them. It's a run and drive. They've got a gate pass. So almost certainly that means that where it's coming from in Illinois, that they bought it from the auction out here. So this is probably, there's an auction out here somewhere. When you just click, and sometimes auctions, they'll come directly from a dealership or an auction yard, and you'll pick it up and you're going to bring it and you're going to drop it off to them at the dealership. Easy peasy. A lot of times these dealers are going to work with you, no problem. They're going to go ahead and dispatch it to you. You just have to call. You want to pay attention to the load ID, and then you're going to also want to pay attention to any directions. But here it just has a phone number, so I'd just call that up. I'd say hi. Calling about the 2019 Ford Fiesta. Is it still available? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to ask where it's picking up and dropping off from and to. And then most likely, because it's a dealer, they're going to send it over to me. And they probably aren't even going to ask me for a certificate of insurance with their name on there. Most dealers don't. They just go ahead and swing you the car. United Road Logistics, they're not going to work with new brokers. Luxury Motors LLC, that's probably a dealer. Yep, there it is. It's a dealer. Acertus URC, Cars R Us LLC. That is a dealer for sure. Dealer. So going down the list, and you can see Auto Sled, they're a pretty good size broker. They're not going to deal with you. Assertus, another big dealer. Auction Direct Transport, they're a pretty big broker. Did I say Assertus is a dealer? These two are brokers, not dealers. United Car Center, that sounds like a dealer. Yep, that's a dealer. That's a dealer. Keep going down. Eclipse Auto Transport, that is going to be a broker. That's a broker. 1,000 ratings, so probably fairly big. Does not necessarily mean they're not going to work with you. A New Transport, they will not work with new brokers. Montway, I think, requires 3 months in. Jenna Auto Sale, well, that's definitely a dealer. Definitely a dealer. Okay. So you can see how you're going to go down the list, and you're just going to be looking for dealers. And you're going to find that there are quite a few dealers. So this was Chicago to Indianapolis. Let's look at Chicago to Detroit. We're going to go down the list. Cars R Us. Spectrum Auto Works. That sounds like another dealer. There's another dealer. So there are plenty of dealers here. Now this is an in-op. I'm not really talking about that in this video. We're just kind of looking at how, as a new auto hauler with a brand new authority, how you can find folks that are going to work with you. TFI Transportation, they will work with you. They're a broker, and they will work with brand new authorities. I have pulled many cars for them, and they do pay quickly. Run Buggy, we just went over them. So we're going down the list, and we're starting to burn down into some of the cheaper cars, but you get the point. You're going to go in, AP Auto Sales. There's another one. Dealer, probably will work with you. Select Motor Cars, AP Auto Sales. Dealer. AA&M LLC, unknown. Let's click on it. Broker. They're a broker. They only have 153 ratings, though, so they may work with you. Hard to know. I wouldn't take the amount of ratings on a broker does not necessarily give you an idea of how big or small they are. So always call and just keep a record of whether or not they're going to work with you. So that's it. That's it, folks. It's not a big thing. What you're going to do is you're going to find that the dealers are going to work with you over the larger brokers. Top Gears Auto. Let's see. Dealer. So there's plenty of dealers, and that's what you want to target as a brand new authority. You're going to want to bring your business cards with you. Make sure you drop your business card with that dealer. You may or may not be meeting with the owner. If it's a small lot, you may or may not be meeting with the owner of that small lot. You're going to want to drop the car off, introduce yourself, make that connection, because you want them to call you directly next time. Either they're going to put it up on central dispatch, they're going to call you immediately and tell you they've got a load and they're going to dispatch it to you because they know you'll take it. Or they may just call you directly and never put it up on central dispatch. But it's important every time for you to drop your card, make that connection. They see your face. They already know you did a good job for them because you dropped off one car. And then you'll start to find, just like I have, that you get some repeat business. Now, I have a couple of small lots now that will call me directly when they need a car moved, and they don't even go through central dispatch. I just use a paper BOL, and I pick it up and drop it off for them. That's after 2 months. That's it. All right, guys. So that's it. Nothing, not revealing any major secrets here. Just wanted to make a video for all of you new authorities out there so that you can see what you need to do in order to start filling up your truck and making some money. All right. Good luck out there, guys.